I want you to actually walk me through like I'm an idiot. Like I don't understand anything about a funnel. Walk me through like I have no idea what you're talking about. So the first thing is I want to offer my services as a subscription, whether that be a physical product or a membership area for workouts, or maybe a business development area where my team can go in and get leadership videos at a subscription rate. I've got my sales page, and on my sales page, I have an automatic opt-in with a little check mark, and it says, you're going to be part of this, like after the first 30 days, you're then going to be billed every 30 days, blah, 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 blah. Okay or not okay?
Not okay.
Okay.
But let's take a step back.
Yeah, sure.
You can have all these very beautiful enrollment paths. And, there's all these flashy little things and, big images. And then all of a sudden you get to the very end and you're like, what am I actually buying? Like, it says I'm buying a supplement, but then like if you actually were to go back and it's like, oh, wow, there's actually a kind of a subscription rolled into this. Would your grandmother know that? I mean, if
it says it on the side of the checkout page and it's all like in big bright letters, maybe. We've sold like that for years and I've always felt very comfortable because of the way that it is on the sales page. That whole box is in red while everything else is in black. Subscription is bold and in black while the rest of the words are red. I've always been very comfortable with that. Very, very, very apparent that they're buying that, but it's already checkmarked. They have to physically uncheck it.
They have to, so there's a couple layers to that, right?
Sure.
Clear and conspicuous disclosures. The FTC is going to say now, with this new regulation out there, it needs to be unavoidable.
They have to go to an upsell page and take it.
Not even still, like just throughout the entire enrollment path. Like the billing disclosures have to be absolutely unavoidable. I mean, it is like you cannot miss them. Like, and it needs to say subscription, membership, all the material terms of the offer need to be outlined. Like, so the rebill frequency, the price, the fact that this will continue to be rebilled unless and until the consumer takes some sort of action. And this needs to be throughout the entire enrollment path to get actually acceptance to that. So you have the clear and conspicuous billing disclosures. So that's one component. Then you actually need to get acceptance to that. And the FTC is going to say that you need unambiguous consent to the actual subscription portion of this, not just, the fact that I'm going to buy something from you, but actually the subscription component. And so, a lot of what we have seen is like this layered approach of we're talking about maybe a product on one page, and then all of a sudden the cart page adds something new, and then all of a sudden you get to the end and it's kind of this mishmash of, well, it looks kind of a subscription and says delivery every 30 days. And then there's no real kind of like calling out, like you're actually enrolling in a subscription.
Right.
Now, I think there's arguments like newspapers and stuff that's traditionally a membership. Like you can make
newsletters,
you can make arguments, but the FTC doesn't really care.
Right.
I mean, they've upped the game to where it's these disclosures need to be unambiguous or unavoidable, and then unambiguous consent. Like there's no way to argue that this person enrolled or bought this product without agreeing to these terms. And so the FTC was very, very at length in the notice of proposed rulemaking, answering the question, do you need a checkbox? Do I need a checkbox on my checkout page to enroll? And the FTC kind of said, nah, you don't need it, but if you did, it would comply. And so, we keep getting questions, do I need a checkbox for the consent portion? No, you don't need a consent box, but you actually need to make sure that enrollment path, when it culminates in the the consent mechanism, you need to make sure that it is conveying to the consumer that they are absolutely enrolling into a subscription. Yeah. Not only are they enrolling in a subscription, but they are agreeing to all the material terms of that subscription. And those material terms also need to be immediately adjacent to whatever consent mechanism you're using. So basically the button or the checkbox or something like that.
I want to just talk for a moment operationally on how this can be better for your business. No one thinks that this could be better. Everybody's freaking out about this. So you presented this to Driven and I started looking into it. And then I pulled a lot of stats. And one of the things we decided to get ahead of it. We're going to talk about when people have to get compliant with it, but we decided to get ahead of it. Here's the first thing I'll say. If you're willing to really, really, really test your take rate on your continuity subscription, if you're really willing to test and put time into the marketing of it, this will be more profitable for you. The refund rate on overall continuity is quite high. in our industry, as industry standard goes. If you get someone to pay you for 2 or 3 months as a consequence of them not paying attention, the refund rate on that, which is expensive, is high. The chargeback rate on that is far higher. So there are ways to do it that if you really test your marketing, you'll never have the same take rate. You have a much higher keep rate though. And I care more about the money I keep than the money I trick people into giving me. And so not everybody's tricking people, but there are certain things that we do in this industry that's intentional. So the first thing is, if I'm buying something and that something is going to come to me over and over and over again, let's say a supplement. If I click on that and I have a pop-up show up to save, I stole this off Amazon, save 10% and order every 30 days. And then you can put your disclosures in there. You'll be billed every 30 days in a new bottle of supplement so that you never run out. And then you can have a whole bunch of marketing messaging in there. And they literally click it on a pop-up agreeing to, it's a completely different thing. Like you're covered. But not only are you covered, they're saving a little bit of money. But the little 10% of $69, $49, $39, whatever your price point is that you're saving will increase your profit margin astronomically. And what I think you'll find too is more customer trust. And so when people call in and they're pissed off at you because you have tricked them, you've stolen, I didn't tell you, it's always the same thing, right? I didn't tell you could do this. You didn't tell me you were doing this. You stole this money from me, blah, blah. They don't want to hear anything that your customer service agent has to say because you stole from them. However, if they call in and they say, hey, I'd like to cancel this because you informed them. I know every marketer ever is rolling their eyes at me right now and saying, I'm going to cost them tons of money. But I assure you, we've tested this a couple of times, not a massive amount of times, but a couple of times. And in the end, once we got it right, we made out much better for the profit side of things. The dollar amount we kept was much higher than we were when we were, getting people to set the subscription themselves. And so you got to really work on the wording. You got to work on the marketing and you got to work on it. And a lot of times if you put save 10% today and cancel anytime, you're inherently doing the same exact thing that you did before. You're getting them to agree to a subscription that they're never going to remember. So you're getting that month anyway. Nobody's going to say, no, I don't want to save 10% because that's the other option. No, I don't want to save. Nobody ever. And I had a lot of marketers that we talked to about this argue with me that the overall take rate would decrease because if you show a 10% and then they don't want to take the continuity, they're not going to buy it at the higher percent. We just didn't see a huge difference there at all on the take rate. We actually saw a complete turnaround in how customers were calling to cancel. Instead of being upset, they're like, oh, I forgot to cancel it. Most people forget, or they email you right away. It's one or the other. But what they're going to do is they're going to call you and then they're going to be open. Oh, Ryan, you're suffering from, you're going to kill me. I almost said the stupidest thing in the world. I was going to say joint pain. You would never say that. You would never say that. You would never say it. Oh, Ryan, I see that you bought our iron formula. That's wonderful. Did you happen to know about the other formulas we have? We have a couple of packages for you. You have an opportunity for your customer service team to sell them other things. And you should be doing that with every client that calls ever. But your rate of people who are calling in to cancel their subscriptions, they bought something from you already. They don't want it every month. You want to know why they don't want it every month? Because they didn't take it every day. But you can sell them something else. So when they call to cancel that one, you can sell them something else. So I'm just saying, a lot of people are rolling their eyes at me, but we've tested this a little bit. And if you really do it right and you spend a lot of time on split testing it, you test it on 20% of the traffic. So you're not losing anything and you get it right and you move it to 50 and you see what the outcome is over 6 months. And I haven't, only been a couple of tests. But I haven't seen one time where it didn't work out better on the dollar amount that we kept overall.